Let me tell you about a man, a school teacher, a poet, a jitterbug dancer, a cricket fan, and most importantly, an accidental revolutionary. Yes, that sounds like the beginning of a bad joke or an African version of Forrest Gump. But I promise you, it's the beginning of a story that is as tragic as it is funny, and as tense as it is unforgettable. This is the story of Cornelius Molapo, a high school teacher from Johannesburg who gets mistaken for a freedom fighter and, well, to be fair, ends up becoming one. Let's take it from the top. Cornelius Molapo lives a quiet-ish life. He teaches high school, writes poetry, gives speeches, dances the jitterbug, loves deeply, and, well, loves cricket with equal passion. You know, just your average revolutionary in waiting. He's also a peripheral member of the National Liberation Movement, South Africa's underground organization fighting against apartheid. And by peripheral, I mean he probably attends meetings for the snacks. But things change quickly when the Pretoria government starts grabbing native lands in the rural district of Tabanyane, handing them to white farmers. The NLM needs someone to take charge of the resistance effort there. But instead of sending one of their hardened soldiers or trained operatives, they pick Cornelius. Yes, a man whose most dangerous weapon so far has been a blackboard marker. What? So Cornelius is sent to Tabanyane, a place he only knows by name, to coordinate the local resistance and rally people to the cause. Now let's just say, things don't exactly go smoothly. There's a self-declared king in Tabanyane, Sekala Seiso, who is not just a puppet of the apartheid government, but also a terrifying figure in his own right. How terrifying? Well, let me give you one of the funniest descriptions I've ever read.
The day you come across my Uncle Sekala, no one will need to point him out to you. Try to imagine a monster 6'10" with a face like a train locomotive or the front of Mount Situ, and you have the exact image of my uncle. Children have been known to cry when he has but looked at them. An attempt at a smile from him is likely to send children running for shelter behind their mother's skirts. When he makes a joke, he smiles so hard that his eyes seem to close up and vanish, bringing to perfection his exceptional ugliness.
Page 195. Now that's how you describe a villain and still make your reader laugh through the... Cornelius is no longer the jitterbugging city boy. Over the weeks and months living in the mountains, sleeping in caves, watching his comrades fall, and seeing the raw suffering of his people, something changes in him.
He came to appreciate the predicament of his people. He identified with them in a way far different from what he had been inciting his listeners to do. He lived their lives and understood what it was to be a native.
Slowly, the poet-schooled teacher sheds his city flesh and becomes a guerrilla fighter. He's no longer just a mouthpiece. He's ready to die for the cause.
I want to ride or die.
While Cornelius is crawling through bushes and dodging bullets, the outside world begins to wonder, where is he? The NLM reports his disappearance to Human Rights International, and that's where we meet Anthony Ferguson, a representative of HRI born in South Africa but long gone. He's returning after 15 years, trying to make sense of what the country has become and trying even harder to avoid being trapped in its laws. Oh, and he's got a twin sister, Hazel, a local celebrity with whom things are complicated. Ferguson is a character of many dimensions, jaded, worldly, and occasionally funny. His arrival in Tabanyane sets up one of the book's most hilarious moments. He meets Joe Bulane, a lawyer from the NLM who is very much in disguise.
At first, Anthony did not recognize the man from the Central Committee. Bulane was dressed in faded old khakis, somewhat soiled and torn and sprinkled with mud. And although this was the height of summer on the Highveld, and the sun would soon be scorchingly hot, he was swathed in a thick army coat that looked frayed and moth-eaten, like something which might have been bequeathed to an importunate servant by a jokey employer. His face concealed behind dark glasses framed in red plastic which made him look like a friendly gargoyle. In spite of the somberness of the occasion, Anthony could not stop himself from laughing. Helpless, he leaned against the door of the car. Oh, Mr. Bulane, what a sight to greet the plains of Tabanyane. Bulane peered short-sightedly at his fellow traveler.
And then the punchline.
Perhaps you might start off by addressing me properly, Bulane said gravely. Yes, sir, Anthony responded, unable to stop laughing. From now on, Bulane said, I am not Mr. Bulane, just plain Bulane, your native boy.
A sharp and satirical jab at the racist expectations of how black South Africans were expected to behave. It's funny, and it hurts.
Yes, it's so painful.
Now, if you've read your fair share of apartheid-era literature, you might be familiar with stories where the struggle is in the background. A father arrested, a family falling apart, the slow unraveling of domestic life. But Lewis Nkosi flips the script. In Underground People, the struggle is the story. This is not a domestic drama with political shadows. This is a war story, a revolution story. And yet, Nkosi does not forget the people inside that revolution. He gives us their dreams, their fears, their laughs, their vanities. We laugh when they laugh. We fear for their lives. And in Cornelius, we see a man who thought he understood oppression until he had to fight it from the mud, not from a podium. The tone of the book is fast-paced, intense, and often funny. Nkosi's prose is a delight. Each sentence moves the story forward but never sacrifices beauty. And then, there's that slow burn, the tension that builds with every page until you realize you're holding your breath.
Just took my breath away.
Now, if you've been wondering what this incredible book is, allow me to reveal it. Underground People by Lewis Nkosi. Published in 2002 by Ayabia Clark Publishing, it is Nkosi's second novel after the award-winning Mating Birds. And it is, without a doubt, one of the most unique portrayals of the South African liberation struggle that I've ever read. Nkosi gives us many themes to reflect on. Transformation. Cornelius's evolution from city intellectual to hardened fighter is not just physical, it's a psychological rebirth, satire and suffering. The novel is deeply political but never preachy. Humor is used as a scalpel, slicing into the absurdity of apartheid while keeping us laughing. Identity. The question of what it means to be native or urban or revolutionary is ever present. Sacrifice and betrayal. As with any revolution, we see the cracks within the movement, the betrayals that hurt more than bullets. And yet, through it all, Nkosi manages to write a novel that reads like a thriller, a comedy, a war diary, and a love letter to a people fighting to be free. Lewis Nkosi, 1936-2010, was not just a novelist. He was a literary critic, a playwright, and a scholar of African literature. He began his career at Drum magazine in the 1950s, a space for the new African voices, urban, eager, brash. In 1960, he left South Africa on an exit permit and went on to study at Harvard and teach in England. His first novel, Mating Birds, 1986, drew comparisons with Camus' The Stranger for its spare prose and tight structure. With Underground People, Nkosi gives us not just a sequel to that legacy, but an expansion, a deeper look into the politics of freedom and the psychology of resistance. If you've ever wanted to read a story about revolution, not from the headlines but from inside the minds of those who lived it, read Underground People. It will make you laugh, make you pause, and above all, it will make you think. And that's the best kind of book, isn't it? See you in the next review. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.